A Judicial Conduct Tribunal will hear evidence tomorrow in a complaint against Western Cape Judge President John Hlophe. The hearing comes more than 10 years after the initial complaint was lodged against Hlophe by judges of the Constitutional Court. The case has cast a shadow over the judiciary for over a decade. Special Projects Editor Diane Hawker takes a look at the origins of this case.
It all started here in March and April of 2008 with two visits. Judge John Hlophe came to see two judges of the Constitutional Court, Judges Nkabinde and Chris Jafta. The reason for those visits have remained subject to an inquiry into Judge Hlophe for over a decade. In May of 2008, judges of the Constitutional Court lodged a complaint against Hlophe for allegedly trying to influence the court to decide in favor of then Deputy President Jacob Zuma. Judges of the Con Court, including then Chief Justice Pius Langa and Deputy Chief Justice Dikgang Moseneke, accused Hlophe of trying to influence the Constitutional Court in favor of Zuma in an arms deal-related case. Hlophe has vehemently denied the allegation throughout the years, claiming his visits were just friendly.
I have known Judge Jafta for years. We've always been friends, right? I would have continued engaging them. There was absolutely, in my view, nothing improper. And that's what the JSC found, by the way, when it exonerated me. So there was nothing improper about that discussion. That was my position then, and that is still my position.
In 2009, the Judicial Service Commission found in favor of Hlophe. But now, following a series of court cases, he finds himself before a tribunal. Former Western Cape Premier Helen Zille was among the litigants.
Someone is lying. And that is why it's really very important to get to the bottom of this, and that is why a hearing is so necessary. Either Judge Jafta and Nkabinde misrepresented the situation to their colleagues on the Constitutional Court, who went public with this claim, with all the judges, including Judge Jafta and Nkabinde, together, or the rest of the Constitutional Court bench bullied Judge Jafta and Judge Nkabinde to do something they didn't want to do, or somebody in the Constitutional Court, apart from Judge Jafta and Nkabinde, is lying, or Judge Hlophe isn't telling the truth.
In a recent interview with Newzroom Afrika, Hlophe said he's willing to testify for a second time in the inquiry.
I have given evidence before in September 2009. It was accepted by the Judicial Service Commission. I was cleared by the Judicial Conduct Tribunal. I am prepared. It is exactly the same version I have given before. I'm prepared to repeat that under oath again. Nothing has changed. I'm prepared. I have given that version before. I stand by it.
The Judicial Service Commission has yet to confirm who will take the stand. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Diane Hawker.
For more on this, I'm joined by Barnabas Xulu, who is Judge Hlophe's lawyer, and Alison Tilly, the coordinator at the organization Judges Matter. A pleasure to have you both this afternoon. Mr. Xulu, I'll start with you. Now, the hearings will be based on a complaint that Judge President John Hlophe tried to influence Constitutional Court judges in a case involving the former President Jacob Zuma more than a decade ago. With these hearings finally set to go ahead, this will present the judge, or rather Judge Hlophe, the opportunity to have his say in response to the allegations that he faces. Now, without going too much into the merits of your case, what can we expect when the matter is finally heard?
Thank you for having me, and hi, Alison. The matter tomorrow will be proceeding, being guided by what transpired in the Supreme Court of Appeal in respect of the two matters that have already decided that the matter must be started from the beginning. In other words, there has to be a hearing. So from our side, we are ready, as we've been all along, ready to give our side of the story. In fact, our client has, under oath, have given already the evidence in respect of this matter. The only complaint or concern which was raised by the Supreme Court of Appeal was that there was supposed to be a cross-examination for this decision to be reasonable and rational. In other words, the Supreme Court of Appeal was of the view that because he has never been cross-examined, or all the parties that are implicated or are involved, having participated in this whole complaint, were never cross-examined. Therefore, the decision of the Judicial Service Commission in 2009 was unreasonable and irrational.
Yeah. Mr. Hlophe, you say that your client is ready. Now, he's been very vocal in recent times on a YouTube channel and later right here on Newzroom Afrika, where Judge President John Hlophe placed the Daily Maverick Chief Justice Mogoeng, the Western Cape Deputy Judge President Patricia Goliath, and at least 10 other judges in the division as being at the center, or rather co-conspirators in a perceived plot to discredit him. Now, as we edge closer to these all-important hearings this week, does he still stand firm on this sentiment?
Well, that position remains the same, and it is supported by evidence. It's not a speculation as such. Yeah. He has been able to articulate the evidence as well that exists, which confirms that.
All right. Alison, let's bring you into this conversation now. You serve as an attorney and co-coordinator of the Judges Matter campaign. Now, we understand this to be a project of the Democratic Governance and Rights Unit at the Faculty of Law at UCT. Tell us a bit more about this campaign.
Well, one of the things that we are particularly interested in judicial appointments and judicial conduct processes, because Judges Matter, as our title tells you, we think judges are very important, and the appointment process for judges is really important, and the point at which they're accused of misconduct are really important. So I think those are the two things that we're really focusing on at the moment.
Now, as we edge closer to tomorrow's hearings, what is your interest in the matter involving Judge Hlophe?
Well, I think it's a very important inquiry. It's one of a number of inquiries that is running in front of the JSC. It's one of the longest running inquiries and has been the subject of over 14 court cases. There's plenty of blame to go around as to why it's being delayed for so long, but it's really important that it is concluded. We really cannot have this kind of cloud hanging over the judiciary and the Western Cape High Court in particular.
Yeah, so you've previously been quoted speaking about Judge Hlophe, saying he's already facing various serious allegations of judicial misconduct, including allegations of assaulting a colleague or a judge. What worries you most about these allegations that Judge Hlophe faces?
Well, I tell you what worries me most is that Judge Hlophe and other judges who've been accused of misconduct are, in my view, not really submitting themselves to the conduct process. Prof. Hugh Cordis has said it in this way. He said that the virtue that is lacking is an implicit understanding and acceptance of the actions and decisions of those who must make the system work. We've decided that judges will hold judges accountable. We're not going to allow the executive to get involved or Parliament. But it does mean that judges should be submitting themselves to the process. And I think that that's something that we really want to think about. How do you appoint judges so that they are very conscious of this need to be involved in conduct proceedings and make sure that they really move quickly?
Yeah.
Not so quickly that rights are ignored, but quickly.
Mr. Hlophe, let's bring you back here. So Judge Hlophe in recent times has gone on to...
Before we go on, can I come in there?
Yeah.
So what is Alison suggesting? That our client was not willingly subjecting himself into the disciplinary hearing or into the process of adjudicating this matter?
I think what...
We should not forget... Okay, let me put this into perspective. 7 years ago, we spent more than 2 weeks in Johannesburg waiting for the matter to commence. And you know what happened? Justices Jafta and Kabinde approached the court challenging the constitutionality of the tribunal. We're only coming back now 7 years later.
Yeah.
Having subjected ourselves, said we are available and we are ready to proceed. That has to be acknowledged that at all times, our client has been willing to participate in a process that resolves this issue. And I'm finding it very strange that I'm called here to speak about tomorrow's proceedings.
Yeah.
You are now introducing other matters that are still going to be heard and making innuendos as if there's going to be non-compliance or non-cooperation in that regard. It's totally unfair.
I think what is important here, or the angle that we are taking, is also to focus on these allegations, or going into the conduct of Mr. Hlophe. So if you look at the comments that have been made by Judge Hlophe...
You're not a tribunal. That is for the tribunal. Let's respect the law.
We respect the law. We respect the law, Mr. Tulu, but it's...
ourselves into.
Yeah.
Don't come up with things that are basically prejudging our clients.
Yeah, not at all are we trying to prejudge your client, Mr. Tulu.
But what makes you to start examining the conduct of our client in this platform?
Well, sir, I'll concede to that, but I think what is important here is that we also look into these allegations that he faces, and these allegations of misconduct on the side of Judge Hlophe.
Yeah, but you are not there to adjudicate on them. You don't have any right to adjudicate on those. There is a tribunal set.
Yeah.
Well, the legislative body to deal with these things. That's a mistake that we've been making all along. In fact, that's what has been causing these delays in this matter.
All right. So,
where public opinion, even now, the Judicial Service Commission, which is a body that was given authority to deal with this matter, have decided on this matter in 2009. They've been considered all the evidence.
Okay.
The interloper, in a form of judge's matter like.
All right. Well, Mr. Tulu, let me be fair by giving us more time to dissect these issues. Let's take a quick break and continue with this discussion, if you'll allow us, sir.
Good.
All right. Let's take a quick break and we'll return to this conversation shortly after this. Stay with us. Let's continue with our previous story, where Judge John Hlophe is expected to appear at a tribunal tomorrow. For this discussion, I'm joined by Barnabas Tulu, who is Judge Hlophe's lawyer, and Alison Tilley, the coordinator at the organization It Judges Matter. And Mr. Tulu, let's speak about procedure here. For those who may not be familiar about the processes, what do we expect to take place?
So we have a prosecutor who has somehow prepared a charge sheet for this misconduct case, so to say.
Yeah.
So the prosecutor is going to rely on the evidence that was presented by Justices John Kabinde, and also the evidence which was given under oath by our client. Once that evidence obviously is tabled and it becomes a part of the record for the parties to consider, then the cross-examination is going to be allowed, which is following the directions of the Supreme Court of Appeal, which was confirmed by the Constitutional Court. Then after that process has obviously been or has unfolded and completed, then the parties will give their closing address or speech, and the panel of the three people, which consisted of the retired judge, Nabustafu, and one Supreme Court of Appeal judge and an attorney, is going to make a decision on whether they have found our client guilty of any gross misconduct based on the evidence that will be led. That's how the process, it is envisaged to unfold from tomorrow. The matter is set down for a period of 5 days. And as I've said from the beginning, we are ready from our side. I'm not sure from the prosecutor's side how far they are ready to deal with the matter, but from where we are ready. We've had a pre-hearing meeting where parties have confirmed that they are ready to proceed.
Yeah. Well, Alison, let's bring you back in here. Of course, this matter has been met by several delays, and it's taken more than 10 years to have it finally heard. Let's speak about the significance of having to clear the air, or having these allegations to be properly dissected.
Well, I would point out that Judge Hlophe is not the only matter that has taken a long time to resolve. If you look at Judge Matata's case, that took 10 years. And there was a decision by the Judicial Services Commission, but that's been taken on review. So that's not really finalized. We have other matters that have been in process for some time. Now, there's a lot of blame to go around, in my view. I think the legislation is not as clear as it could be. The JSC and the Judicial Conduct Committee do seem to take a long time to make decisions. And of course, the Chief Justice is responsible for the whole process. And I think we might also usefully ask questions of him as to why these processes have taken so long.
Now, Mr. Hlophe, the judges actually come out to speak to the media on platforms, including this one, to basically clear the air and rectify whatever allegations that have been made against him. I mean, he has alluded to the fact that there's this perceived plot to discredit him. Why did he feel the need to speak out?
Well, it's because of the delay. It's certainly because of the delay. Because the delay cannot be attributed to our client or Judge President Hlophe. It cannot be attributed to him. We know exactly, for instance, this period of 7 years. It is clearly in the doorstep of the two justices who have taken the matter on appeal, and ever since, and now the matter is coming back. But I can see Alison doesn't want to acknowledge that. That it is not attributed to the conduct of our client at all. We're never party to those proceedings. That has taken at least a period of 7 years.
So now, but speaking about these delays, you say that your client has always maintained that he's willing to cooperate with any of these processes. Just give us an idea of what's on his mind currently.
Well, he's ready. The evidence is already there. On the 8th and 9th of April 2009, he went under oath and he gave his side of the story. Under oath. And the next question is, have the other judges given any evidence under oath?
And are you confident that your client will get a fair hearing here, that now that he's being given the opportunity to ventilate his issues?
Well, the process as it stands, until such time, we participate in it. We will, if there's anything that is unfair, procedurally and otherwise, we will we know our rights, we know the rights of our clients. We will make sure that at all times are protected.
All right. Well, thank you both for your time. That was Mr. Barnabas Xulu, Judge Hlophe's lawyer, as well as Alison Tilley, the coordinator of Judges Matter.